I've been talking to Katherine Bennett, Chair of the Western Gateway Partnership, about her 14 months in the role and her new job. Katherine, you've become a major figure in the aerospace industry in this region. Why did you decide to leave Airbus?
Well, Airbus has been part of my life for the last 16 years and is the reason I actually moved to this area. And I've had an amazing career. I've done some initiatives such as celebrate the centenary, the foundation of the Bristol Aircraft Company. I've had the honour of working with amazing designers and integrators, the trade union partners down here in the West, and of course working with our apprentice and graduate scheme. So I've had some amazing opportunities, but the key thing is my move is not a move away from advanced engineering, and Airbus and aerospace will still be a big part of my life. I'm in many ways, Ian, just widening my scope of what I do. And perhaps another nice story to share with you is that the work I've done with the Western Gateway has really opened my eyes in terms of how I can contribute to continue to help the higher engineering sector of which we're in, but of course the wider sector as well.
And will your new role at High Value Manufacturing Catapult mean that you'll need to move from the area?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not moving. The High Value Manufacturing Catapult has 17 sites, so 7 centres, one of which, of course, is the world-renowned National Composite Centre down the road in Emerson's Green. So I can be very mobile where I work. I'll be down in this area quite a lot and continue to live in this area.
Are you going to be able to devote more time to being chairman of the Western Gateway? And where is your backup team based?
So I plan to devote as much time as I had before to the Western Gateway. My new employer is more than happy for me to continue with that. The Secretariat of the Western Gateway is based in Yate in South Gloucestershire, but we have team members. We're still a pretty small team in terms of backup, but there's team members based at Bristol City Hall. There's the supporting chief executive based at Bath. We also have staff in Newport. So they're spread around the area. And also I get a lot of support from sort of business organisations as well. And of course, all the local authorities who are part, and the LEPs who are part of the Western Gateway setup.
The aerospace industry here in the Southwest is suffering. What does the government need to do to support it?
So it's been a pretty difficult last few months. Obviously, we weren't right at the forefront of it. It was our aviation partners, airports, airlines, etc., who were really in the eye of the storm, and we all understand the reasons why. But aerospace then is, of course, impacted, as you said. You know, both Airbus, Boeing, and some of the small aerospace companies, we've had to announce rate reductions. I mean, hats off to the people managing our factories and engineering centres in terms of the way they've adapted to COVID-19 safe working environment, but also the downturn in the industry. So yeah, it's been a pretty tricky few months, and we obviously hope that the world can get back to flying again when it's safe to do so.
Katherine, after spending 14 months as chair of the Gateway, do you think you can really make a difference?
Last physical meeting our partnership board had was, I believe, in February last year. So we haven't met physically, but we've certainly continued, as everyone else has, with virtual means. We actually had a partnership board yesterday morning, and I have to say there was real vim and vigour and enthusiasm amongst the board in terms of the projects we're working on. So it's not been an ideal start to a new powerhouse, but having said that, we've managed to, I'd say, move mountains despite our small structure in terms of backup, but they're increasing gradually, and there's a lot of projects that we're working on now.
Yeah. Now, you say you're moving mountains. Can you give me an idea of any of those mountains?
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things is, of course, collaboration. I'm not saying that's a mountain to climb, but people are, you know, in their own organisations, they're used to the ways of working. So sort of setting up a collaboration network, such as we've done with this new partnership, has been tricky in terms of helping people understand what it is we're trying to do. But the most important thing for me is to champion the area and be an advocate for the area. And it's not just me alone. There's obviously the other members of the board, but also I spent a lot of my time, often with Business West support, I would say, Ian, talking to business representatives from around the area and getting them to understand what it is an economic powerhouse is all about. And of course, we're quite unique in that we are also cross a national boundary in terms of Wales and England. So there's been work to be done with our partners in the Welsh Government as well. So those are the kind of mountains I was referring to. It's just a way of navigating, but of course people can climb mountains, and you know, I'm happy to play my part in that as long as I have the right equipment.
And is the geographical gap created by so many local authorities and Wales an issue in reaching agreements between them?
We have a nice sort of expression that we use in the Western Gateway. We talk about the fact that we reach from Swansea to Swindon and from Tewkesbury down to Salisbury. So it's a pretty big footprint. It's not as big as actually our brothers and sisters in the Northern Powerhouse on Midlands Engine, but yes, we cross over into Wales. And I have to say, the partnership really got going in its infancy as a result of collaboration between the major cities of Newport, Cardiff and Bristol, and that's where it all started. So the Welsh authorities are very much part of it and very dedicated to it. Even at the board we had yesterday, the leaders of the councils in South Wales are very, very, very supportive and understand that economies are very fluid. Employees and citizens travel across the bridge regularly in normal days to work on both sides of the bridge.
It seems to me to be difficult that there is a stage for the region to act on with one voice. How can you go about changing that?
You know, you can have lots of stages. The world is a stage in itself. But if the Western Gateway can help to be a voice, to act as an amplifier on key topics that this area wants to talk about, then I'm happy for it to do so. But of course, let's not forget there's already other stages. Bristol and Bath, Invest in Bristol and Bath have their own stage. The areas in South Wales also have very strong brands. People know about the city of Cardiff, they know about Bristol, they know about Cheltenham. But for me, it's adding to that. It's an amplification, as I've said already. And what I've heard when I've worked with diplomats overseas is that this economic powerhouse brands really does help when you're talking to international investors, because you can say that we're an area which has some very strong cities, some strong towns, some rural, some industrial opportunities, and also very importantly, Ian, let's not forget our world-class universities and colleges here, which really help to attract business and investment.
Boris Johnson recently promised massive government investment in green business for the South West. How are you going to press to make that a reality?
Well, low carbon and the green agenda is in many ways the lifeblood of part of this area. We have to remember about Bristol Green Capital and the opportunities, for example, that Swansea are talking about with the tidal lagoon, etc. And this is where we do work with our neighbours further down the Southwest Peninsula as well. And, you know, the 10-point plan that the government announced last summer, so many aspects of that on the green economy work for us here in this area. So we definitely want to be leading from the front and work again with the partners I talked about earlier.
You're giving full support to the fusion power project for the region. How important is that to us? So
we really like to ensure that the region puts its good foot forward for any potential bids like this. So the process has now launched. The Atomic Energy Authority has announced the status of a bid for this fusion technology. And we feel that in South Gloucestershire and Gloucestershire, there are two sites that would be superb opportunities for this to be located. The key thing for me as well has been we're appointing some work to be done by a consultancy firm on the economic stats and the social value that such a project could bring. And of course, the steel potentially would be made in South Wales. We'd have employees potentially living and working on either side of the bridge here. So for me, it really ticks the box of a Western Gateway thing to champion. But of course, the key partners of this are the existing organisations, as you said, you know, Gloucestershire and South Gloucestershire as the local councils, but also the organisation Nuclear South West, where of course they're based with the support of Business West. So for us, we're happy to pick this up and champion it as well.
And what about Devon and Cornwall? Shouldn't they also come under the Western Gateway umbrella?
So Devon, Cornwall, Somerset, Dorset, Bournemouth, they're all obviously key parts of the UK as well, with very strong stories to tell and a lot of opportunities, but also there are opportunities where they need more support. So as our neighbours, we're happy to continue working with them. They are not part of the Western Gateway at the moment. They had their own plans for a separate economic powerhouse, and they're continuing those discussions. But as far as I'm concerned, and many people have probably heard me say this, from a business perspective, you don't suddenly fall over the border when you travel into Somerset. Many employees here at Airbus, where I'm sitting today, they live in Somerset and they commute up here. So we'll work with our neighbours in other counties in the Southwest Peninsula as and when we need to. There are lots of projects where we can work together, the marine industry, the high value design sector, and of course the green economy. So there will be many, many projects where we work collaboratively.
So what are your priorities now that you've had a feel of the challenge facing the region?
Well, the key thing for us is that we started off with quite a lot of facts and figures and economic background, but we really needed to get a newer version of that done. So that's one of the key things that the government's helped us with, is pulling together the first phase of an independent economic review, which has been done for us by Oxford Economics and Hardisty Jones, based at Cardiff University. That will be published shortly, but then the next part of that project is a deeper analysis of the economy in the Western Gateway footprint and what are the key opportunities in that. The fusion bid actually is part of that, because innovation and collaboration in green economy is one of the highlights that we pinpointed already as part of the first phase of this analysis. The second one is cyber and digital. There's opportunities there. And we also mustn't forget the creative economy and other parts of the rural sector where we have some advantages as well. So we're working on some key projects in those three areas. And of course, the other big story for us is inward investment and taking our place on the international stage, and how we can amplify and get our great opportunities in this area to be out there more and to be heard from a more international footprint point of view.
Katherine Bennett, thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Ian.